So, have you ever wondered what really separates the greats from, well, everyone else? Today, we are going to dive deep into a classic book by George Leonard called Mastery. We're talking about the keys to long term success and real, genuine fulfillment. If you feel like you're ready to unlock your potential, trust me, you are in exactly the right place.
All right, so let's start with the big question. What is mastery anyway? It's not some kind of magical gift that only a few special people get. Nope. George Leonard's whole point is that mastery is a path. It's a journey that's open to literally anyone who's willing to walk it. It doesn't matter where you're starting from.
And you know this feeling, right? We've all been there. You start something new, maybe a language, an instrument, or even just a new skill for your job. And at first, it's awesome. It's thrilling, you're making progress, you feel that spark. But then, bam, you hit a wall. And it's this long, super frustrating time where you feel like you're just spinning your wheels, getting absolutely nowhere. So why? Why do we hit that wall so hard? Well, the root of all that frustration comes down to a really simple but powerful misunderstanding of how progress actually works.
Okay, so here's the deal. We've basically been sold this idea that progress is supposed to be this perfect, steady, upward line. You know, a straight shot right to the top. But let's be real. Reality is never like that. It's messy. It doesn't matter if you're learning to play tennis or learning to lead a team at work. That initial burst of excitement, it's almost always followed by a long, flat period where it feels like nothing is happening. And honestly, this is the exact moment where most of us just throw in the towel. But what's at the root of this? Why do we get so discouraged so easily? Well, as it turns out, our entire culture might just be setting us up for failure before we even start.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Everything around us, ads, TV shows, social media, it all sells us this fantasy. We're taught that life is supposed to be this constant highlight reel, right? Just one exciting, climactic moment after another, with none of that boring, tedious practice stuff in between. And this is what George Leonard calls the path of endless climax. It's this super seductive idea that our lives should be a constant thrill ride, just filled with wins and excitement and, none of the actual hard work or those flat spots.
But here's the thing. Chasing that illusion, it's a total recipe for disaster. It doesn't matter if it's a get-rich-quick scheme or some crash diet. All it leads to are these frantic highs that always end in a crash. It's not sustainable at all.
So all this pressure from our culture to always be peaking, always be on top, well, it creates a few pretty common personality types that, you guessed it, almost always fail to achieve real mastery. Let's go through them and hey, see if you recognize yourself or maybe someone you know.
Okay, first up, we've got the dabbler. Oh, the dabbler loves anything new and shiny. The brand new gym gear, the first couple chapters of a book, that whole honeymoon phase of a project. They get this massive thrill from that initial burst of progress. But the second they hit that first unavoidable plateau, they're bored. They come up with a million reasons why it's not for them, and they're off to the next shiny new thing.
Next, meet the obsessive. This person is all about the results, and they want them like yesterday. So when they hit a plateau, they don't quit. Oh no, they push harder. They'll work all night, they'll take shortcuts, they'll just grind themselves into the ground, completely ignoring the actual process. Their progress chart looks like a crazy zigzag of frantic effort followed by sharp drops, and it always leads to burnout. And finally, there's the hacker. Now, the hacker is interesting. They learn just enough to get by. They kind of get the hang of something, they reach this comfortable, good enough level, and then they just stop. They are perfectly happy to just hang out on that plateau forever, never really pushing themselves to get better or to grow. Okay, so we've got the dabbler, the obsessive, and the hacker. And they're all kind of recipes for failure. So what's the alternative? What is the real path to success and that deep fulfillment we're all looking for? What does that journey actually look like? This right here, this is probably the biggest idea in the entire book. This is what's called the mastery curve. See, real learning, real growth, it's not a straight line up. It's a series of short, exciting bursts of progress, and each one is followed by a long, and I mean long, period where it looks like nothing is happening. That flat part, that's the plateau. And this is exactly where we need to completely flip our thinking. That plateau, it is not a sign that you're failing. It's the exact opposite. It is the single most important part of the entire journey. It's where the real, deep learning is happening, where skills go from conscious effort to just being automatic. It's where the real work gets done. So, really understanding this mastery curve and what the plateau is all about, that leads to the single most important mental shift you can possibly make on your journey. And what is that shift? It's this. The goal isn't just to endure the plateau. The goal is to learn to love it. True masters, they aren't just gritting their teeth through the practice. They actually find joy and satisfaction in the process itself. They're not just waiting around for those big breakthrough moments. They learn to love the daily act of just showing up and doing the work, even when the progress isn't obvious at all. And George Leonard just says it so perfectly in this quote. He says the prize isn't just the final product. The real fulfillment, what he calls the juice of life, it comes from embracing the whole entire journey, the practice, the challenges, and yeah, even those long, quiet times on the plateau. So when you get right down to it, understanding all this gives you a choice, a real conscious choice. You can keep chasing those endless, frantic peaks that our culture is constantly trying to sell you. You can keep dabbling or obsessing or just hacking your way through things. Or you can choose the real path, the patient, dedicated, and honestly, the deeply fulfilling journey of a master. So the real question is, what journey are you going to choose?